Well, hey, Chad, welcome back to After the Ending.
Hey, Mike, it's good to be back.
Thank you. Glad you could join us. I know you've got a lot of exciting projects in the works. Before we get to your upcoming stuff, tell people what they know you from. I think you're kind of reaching that status of, hey, I know that guy. So where do they know you from?
I'm getting that more and more these days, which I suppose is a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm mostly known, Mike, for the military action franchise I do for Sony Pictures called Sniper. Me and Tom Berenger and Billy Zane and 50 caliber rifles and taking out bad guys over the world. That's probably the one that most people recognize me from. Also, I played Frankenstein's monster on Once Upon a Time, and my new series coming out, Sci-Fi Series called Exctinct. Getting some love from that too.
Excellent. So let's talk about you led me in nicely to your two new major projects that are both coming out. I think both in October. We've got the new Sniper movie and the Exctinct show. Let's start with Sniper. What can viewers look forward to with this new film?
Yeah, so the new Sniper film coming out October 3rd is called Sniper Ultimate Kill.
Cool.
And this is the fourth one I've done in this franchise, playing the role of Brandon Beckett. This is a long running franchise. The original movie Sniper came out in '93 in theaters, and that was Tom Berenger was the title character in that. Billy Zane was his co-star in that as well. They did three of those, shelved the franchise, rebooted it for Sniper Reloaded, which was like 2011. That's where I came in playing Tom Berenger's son, who kind of passed the torch to me. So I've done four of these movies across 7 years. This new one, Sniper Ultimate Kill, brings Tom Berenger and Billy Zane on screen together again for the first time since '93 in that original Sniper movie. So it was a lot of fun to have those guys, kind of adding their stuff to this film together. We've had Tom for one movie, and then we had Billy for another movie in the ones that I've done, but they both added so much, breathing life into their longtime characters in this film. And it's great. This one's fun. It's a little bit different. We shot down in Bogota, Colombia, standing in for Bogota, Colombia.
Right.
And it has to do with, drug lords, cartels, taking out a big bad down there who's funneling nasty stuff into the States. And he's got a hired gun of his own who's got his hands on some really advanced sniper technology, laser-guided bullets and stuff like that. So it becomes kind of our biggest challenge to date and the trickiest sort of thing across the border. So this has got a great story and really fun action, and my co-lead in it is a wonderful actress named Denai Garcia, who's a series regular on Fear the Walking Dead, Prison Break, and she really is fantastic in this film as well.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to that one for sure. And now you have Exctinct coming out, which is a brand new show, correct? Tell us about that.
Yeah, Extinct's a brand new show. Our season 1 premiere is coming out on October 1st. This is for a network called BYU TV. So everyone's I'm sure heard of Brigham Young University. They have their own independent cable network, which is available on most cable and satellite options. They give away all their content for free, so you can get the BYU TV app like you would a Netflix app. All their content is free. So it's kind of their second foray into the scripted game, and we did a sci-fi series, and it was co-created and co-written by Orson Scott Card, who's really well known for his Ender's Game books and everything else. So this is coming out, like I said, October 1st. It's basically, the title is called Extinct, and for good reason. It's 400 years in the future. The human race has been completely wiped out by an alien invasion, and me and a few other characters find ourselves mysteriously reconstituted 400 years later on Earth by a seemingly benevolent alien race. And we're kind of surviving the elements, figuring out why we're here. Why are we here with our memories intact from 400 years ago? Searching for everything from hope to redemption to, the alien threat that took us out is still alive and well and comes in and tries to take us out. So it's really, really, really fun, and I'm really excited for audiences to see it.
Very cool. I'm really excited for that one as well. It'll be fun to watch you in a sci-fi show.
Yeah, amongst my favorite genres, man. You know me. I'm a comic book nerd and a sci-fi geek. So to do this was a lot of fun on many levels for me.
Awesome. We're going to get back to the comics and sci-fi stuff in a little bit, but before we do that, we're going to go back a little bit into your history. You are from my neck of the woods, upstate New York. You come from a small town upstate. So tell me a little bit about your journey from Canajoharie to Hollywood.
Canajoharie, Mike, yes, which is Iroquois for the pot that washes itself.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually in this small town. We're talking small town, man. We're talking, 3,500 people is the town.
Yeah.
40 miles west of Albany, roughly, and I grew up there. There's a beautiful waterfalls and a state park there, and there's apparently this thing in the creek that runs through and connects to the Mohawk River, which goes down to the Hudson and all the way down to New York City. But yeah, I was born and raised there. My parents born and raised there as well. So I grew up and had a really wonderful small town existence. I grew up playing sports in my small school and trying to get some good grades and working on local farms all around me. And, one of the first ones in my immediate family to go to college. And I've got another upstate New York connection with that. I started my college experience at Sage Junior College of Albany.
Right.
So I headed down into the big city of Albany and from the small town of Canajoharie and got my 2-year degree there. And then I finished up at Ithaca College, New York, and I was very soon on my way to LA.
And where did you get the acting bug from? What was it that made you, fall in love with that and head out to LA?
Well, growing up, like I said, Canajoharie is a very small town, but we also lived 8 miles outside of this very small town. So I remember growing up, we didn't even have cable, maybe until I was in high school. So I had always just a real penchant for nerdy stuff, reading Stephen King novels at a young age, reading The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings stuff at a very young age, comic books, Dungeons and Dragons books, anything I could get my hands on, because living out in the country, it's, you're kind of left to your own imagination to come up with your own version of fun. So I never really occurred to me to be an actor. Like I said before, it was just that football, baseball, basketball experience all year round. Graduated high school when I was 17, went to college, and, I grew up watching Star Trek The Next Generation and your X-Files and horror movies on the USA Network and all sorts of stuff in between. So I was always a big fan of TV and film in that way, but it never occurred to me to act. I never did one play in high school. I've still never done anything in the theater to this day. When I went to Ithaca College, I was a journalism major, and I had an opportunity to go to LA to do an internship. I fell in with a publicist out here in Los Angeles who was doing entertainment publicity. He represented, TV and film actors and was hands-on with promoting their projects. Scott Bakula, Jacqueline Smith, a lot of recognizable names over the year that he worked with. And so I interned with him. It turned into a job. I moved right out to LA when I graduated, and just being in the industry, I just had enough people kind of whisper in my ear, like, hey, do you act? Hey, have you ever taken an acting class?
Right.
And in being surrounded by these managers, these agents, these industry types, I just heard it enough times that I was like, yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just try a class. It sounds like fun. And when I did finally take one, I was by no means good, but I had kind of a knack for an understanding of it. It combined, in my eyes, that sort of mental and physical discipline that I was just so used to playing sports, since I was a kid, playing t-ball all the way up through school and messing around in college a little bit with sports. So it was really, really fun, and that's how I got started. It wasn't until my mid-20s that I hopped into an acting class for the first time.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you are, are a big comic book geek and a sci-fi geek, but you also are obviously kind of a sports guy. Was it where you grew up? Was that kind of sci-fi and geekery stuff? Was that kind of part of the culture, or is that more of a kind of your thing, and it was a little more outsider kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like any high school experience or anything like that. Everything is very cliquey, and I found myself able to kind of move seamlessly in those cliques. I played the sports, so I was an athlete. I got good grades, so I was always hanging with some smart kids. I love my comic books, and I love my Magic the Gathering, and I love my Nintendo and Super Nintendo role-playing games and stuff like that. So I found my unique group of friends who were into that.
Right.
And it was all fun for me. I really, honestly loved every single bit of it, and just had a group of friends here and a group of friends here where I could just kind of, the stuff that I was really into, I found people to share common interests with in that. But you know, like I said before, growing up 8 miles outside of a small town, I was left to my own devices. So
Right.
I would wage huge scale GI Joe wars, you know, in the creek that ran back behind, you know, my house, and out
Right.
in the fields and the forest that surrounded my parents' home. And I was really, really, really just with my action figures and everything else, just kind of in my own world, just creating this stuff. I guess telling stories
Sure.
in my own way with these kind of your Ninja Turtles and your He-Man and everything else. So
Right.
I guess it was kind of fun, and maybe that's just got a lot more to do with where I ended up as an actor than I actually, you know, have ever give credit to.
Right, right. Now you've done a lot of these action and drama roles, but you've mixed it up a lot, obviously. But now with Exctinct, this is a pretty hard sci-fi series. Is it different working on a show that's set in like such a science fiction setting versus more modern day kind of terrestrial projects?
You know, I think it's a catch-22. On the one hand, is these guys have created a whole new world. You know, they've built a whole new world, a whole new universe, a whole new what if. Kind of thing. So on one hand, it's a little bit daunting because there's no precedent. Nothing's established. You have to breathe your own unique life into it. And on the plus side, there's an opportunity there. You get to start from scratch. You get to put your creative stamp on things from the beginning in terms of your character and your interpretations and everything from your body language to your choices to your the background homework or the backstory you've created for these characters, and your tone, your inflection, your intonation, how you act with family members or loved ones, in terms of creating this character. So I don't think it was any more daunting. I've had quite a bit of experience up to now, just acting in general. So I was very excited for the chance to, create this Ezra character in Exctinct from scratch.
Right, right. Now, last time we talked, you had filled us in on an upcoming movie called Howlers, which we're looking forward to. What's the status of that?
Yeah, I just found out that Howlers is going to probably come out in early 2018.
Cool.
This was a great independent film I did in Texas, around the Dallas area, last year, and with a director named Josh Ridgway, who wrote it and of course directed it. And it's an action horror, but with like kind of really fun 80s John Carpenter sensibility.
Right.
A lot of humor that doesn't hit you over the head. It's not slapsticky. But if you think of your Big Troubles in Little Chinas and The Thing and the stuff that he's really known for from that era, there's a lot of elements of that. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, this was an action movie to the degree that I don't think I ever had experienced this much action. I played a Wild West cowboy gunslinger who's a werewolf slayer.
Right.
And he basically feels like he's finished the job. He's taken out the werewolves and stuff. And in the mid-1800s, he finally lays down to rest and finds himself mysteriously transported to the modern day, where he comes up against this ruthless gang of werewolves who are, ripping apart a small town. And so he kind of straps on the guns and straps on his crossbow and gets his, double axe handle fighting axes, ready and polished and whatever. And he goes to battle, but there's all the unintentional comedy of having an old cowboy in a modern age. And there's not horses, there's trucks.
Right.
And it's really, really quite fun to see him make this journey. And we had so many action setups and so many fights and so many weapons and fisticuffs. It was really a blast. I'm very excited for it to come out.
Cool. I can't wait. Okay. Well, Chad, thanks for coming back on the show. We're always happy to have you here, and we are looking forward to seeing all these great new projects coming out.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to talk to you again, man. I hope it's not too long before the next time.
Absolutely.